I recently came across with this video, and I put side by side with the flight to compare, you know, because a lot of people believe that a plane is automatically, you know, by the gravity oriented to make the curve of the Earth, but nobody can believe that will be happen on the drone. And here, if you start seeing the drone travel about 14 kilometers, and it's in a straight line all the time. Nobody gonna believe that the gravity is also taking the drone and orientate it to follow the curve. For example, if you compare the level plane flight from Zürich to São Paulo, you compare, for example, with this flight drone, the only difference is because the drone is maybe pointing a little down and have the horizon in the middle line, and have another, you know, type of lens in the camera. There is some different things, but you can see the level flight in both. So this flight, the flight of the plane, it's level. There is no any indication that there is no level flight or it's auto-oriented to this curvature of the Earth. For the heliocentric model, they telling us that when you are in the south, in the southern hemisphere, you see the constellations inverted.
Right.
No, from the southern hemisphere.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Any object orientation. You're changing your orientation from in the north we're looking south, and in the south we're looking north, so flipped round. Yeah.
Exactly. Even here is, publishing to 2014 from the southern hemisphere, any object or constellation that lies near the celestial equator will appear both upside down and reverse left to right compared to the northern perspective. So having this in mind, and also everybody knows the US patent about when the linear aircraft model that talks about non-rotating Earth and stationary atmosphere over a flat non-rotating Earth. So when you start to connect all these dots and you see this kind of flight, you maybe start understand that there's something wrong with the globe, because this kind of flight, it's for me that it's that cannot be happen, because we are talking about a plane that start up, really up in the north hemisphere and go to São Paulo, Brazil, which is one of the most, Argentina have the last part of the end of the world is called Ushuaia. Right. Ushuaia is a city. And in the sphere, it's not have any sense to speak about the end of the world, because it's a sphere. It's not have any end. So you can see a little symbolic. Argentina is a country full of Masonics, logias and Jesuit orders and that kind of stuff. So they when they come here and you start to colonize all the land. They leave all the statues and monuments and that kind of things, and also the names of all a lot of city. So when they come to the Patagonia, to Ushuaia, they call the end of the world, which is the little tip, before enter into Antarctica. So São Paulo, Brazil, it's really at the south of the equator. Maybe not like Argentina, but it's really down. So I start to mark some, the constellation. You can clearly see the Big Dipper going to the right, but never turn. They never flip upside down or left to right. It's just the plane that rotates because it follow that kind of route that the plane have. So you can see it's. I make a comparison here. I'm start to mark some of the starts in the Big Dipper, and it's all the same. All the flight from Zurich to to São Paulo, when supposedly, the plane, in some point, the nose of the plane, it's tipping down. Because you start, I make this comparison. This is the flight on the heliocentric model, and this is the flight on the flatter model. So on the flatter model has a totally sense, but in the spherical model, the tip of the plane before reach São Paulo, it's sitting down. I don't think that the distance of the stars have anything to do, because the official narrative of the science is when you are on the south, you see the constellation flips. So here is not happen. And then there is Mark Sargent have a video that for me it's very very also can illustrate this the flight level, because when you see on the radar the flights, of course, if you see it from the top, you're just gonna see like the planes go, straight. But when you turn on the side, the same information here, you can see the real flight. It's a diagonal ascending, then entering, and the cruiser flight level, and when go down, this is a diagonal going down. But you can see all the planes fly in a straight line.
Right. If you take the NASA document and you show it now, it's like, this is what NASA's talking about. They're talking about making something that flies like this.
Yeah.
Right. And
in fact, yeah.
Okay, I was just going to say that's one of the things that I noticed, and I actually tested for using the MEMS device on my phone when we flew to Hawaii. I computed out the change in orientation that would have supposedly taken place when I flew from Denver to Maui, and that came out to be about 47 degrees. And I don't know what it is from Zurich to São Paulo, but I would imagine it was every bit of that at least, and you don't see that reflected in the stars whatsoever. We should have seen a massive change in the view of the stars during that flight, and all we saw was a little bit of left to right change, and that was about it. And that was, of course, because of the azimuthal position of the plane. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense, and like I said, to me it's an absolute globe killer.
Is the distance there about 3,000 miles? Is that right?
From Zurich to São Paulo, it's longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Longer than that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We are talking about half of the globe, maybe.
Oh wow! I must have been. I thought you were talking about from Brazil to Argentina. So I heard that wrong. Sorry.
Yeah. No. From Zurich in Europe.
It's 9,300 kilometers, 9,343 kilometers.
Damn, that's about 6,000 miles. Wow.
Yeah. It should have been massively different, at least 90 degrees, or probably close to 90 degrees, one way or the other. And that's not reflected in that footage at all. So right there, bam, say goodnight, globe is dead.
I mean, apart from anything else,
deader.
all of the stars, you've got the azimuthal shift, fine. All of the stars should have been continuously drifting up on the screen if we were going around a curve. They should have been doing that continuously drifting up and to the left, up to the right, depending how the plane is turning, but continuously up. And they don't seem to be doing that.
No. In fact, I here in this video, I'm showing this is the line. This is the travel that the plane has to do to go from Zurich to São Paulo in the globe. So it's impossible to don't see. If you live in a globe, you must see some other constellation or some other orientation, at least a little bit. And when you compare, you just see this plane with the Big Dipper on the view. Let me just put in the side by side. You see, all the time you see not just the sky, also the city down. You can see that before the the flight crossed the Atlantic. When this happened, this is dead recognition situation, because there is no any satellite or radar on the ground, nothing like that. But before cruising the Atlantic, you can clearly see all the lights in the city comes from the horizon. They not come from any curve. So it's the sky and the ground. It's totally, telling us. You can see here on all other simulation. You can see that in the flat plane have all the sense, and in the globe model this is not have any sense at all. For me, it's also a globe killer. This, and then when you start to see all this kind of thing, you see the US pattern, you see this kind of flight, you see the radar information. When you put in all that together.
While you're spinning that up, we got a response from apparently a Globe Earth believer. Says the plane is flying against the rotation, so it makes perfect sense that the stars wouldn't rise up.
Yeah, the flight took only, I think, 11 hours, 12 hours. In fact, I think all the, sorry, this is other video, start to night here, and when reached São Paulo, of course, this is, behind the clouds for anyone who wants to go to the web page. They have this official page. This is a real flight. You can see even the, the raindrops on the window of the plane. So you have this kind of camera exposure, because if not, it's impossible to see this kind of image. This is, it's not a regular camera putting on the window of a plane. You must be having the aperture. In fact, when the video finish, it's tell what camera is, what is the millimeters of the lens, what model of the camera. You can see for yourself. It's online. And I think a lot of people comment, thanks for proving flat Earth and things like that. So, because after Bob, a few months ago, post the video, some people, I think, they enter to the official plane site, so leave their comment.
Bob for the Globelink, who said that, of course, he's following a route west, so the stars aren't scrolling. Okay, then find the footage of the flight going the opposite way and show the stars scrolling twice as fast. If they're saying, okay, so then find the opposite footage and show that their assumption is correct.
So when you put all this together, for example, Antonio also uploaded this video to his channel, but when you can start to see I'm gonna leave because it's very short, no? But yeah. Oh, okay. This is a pilot, am I allowed to say that? Which is because a lot of people say, no, this pilot, it's taking away the person that make the question.
I just want to say thanks for the smooth flight. Right. I did have one question. Is there like a specific angle of downward tilt you have to fly at?
3 degrees.
3 degrees for the curvature of the Earth? Oh, for the Earth?
So if you start to listen carefully, you can detect this thing, because the pilot is saying, 3 degrees, thinking that the plane is not pointing down. In fact, the nose is 3 degrees pointing up, because they need to the air going down to the plane to have on the air, because if not, it's falling down. So when the person request and say no for the curvature of the Earth, then the pilots start to try to register the question itself.
Right, the angle of attack.
Just fly over the troposphere.
Yeah, the angle of attack.
I was going to say the angle of attack that he's talking about. That's what's necessary to keep the plane basically airborne. And that's what he's talking about, because as a pilot, never do you ever have to push the nose down to compensate for the curvature of the Earth, contrary to Wolfie 6020's belief, which is nonsense. You simply do not have to do that, never have, never will, and the only angle of attack that should be addressed here is the one for forward flight, and that is to keep the plane in the air, essentially, and that's what that's about.
Yeah.
No, we just fly over the troposphere.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have to keep like kind of going down because?
No, we actually have to nose up. It flies like that.
Really? Because I was reading some stuff on the flat Earth that made a lot of sense. Have you looked into it?
This one, sorry.
I was reading a lot of stuff on the flat Earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
That's true?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Hey,
right.
God bless, brother.
All right.
You can see by how he smiles that he's thinking, oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah.
The pilot, you can see he the smile, you know, he's not conning anyone. He's like, oh, dude, this is one of those guys. Yeah, it's flat.
In fact,
he says it's true. That's what he says.
it's true. That's right.
Es verdad. It's
Es
true.
verdad.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
You too. It's true?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Flat Earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
That's true?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, cool.
All right.
Hey, God
So
bless,
for
brother.
me, it's very clear. The pilot doesn't have anything else to say. So okay, you have the confirmation. Yeah, it's true. Bye. That's all.
You too.
In fact, when you start to see, you know, this is the 3 degrees up all the time based on the horizon line. But the globes. I'm not going to play this video completely, but what you can see here is a complete, you know, bed of clouds all the time are straight. But when you're trying to imagine what the plane, you know, when you go to it's like this. You're gonna tell me that all the instrument on the plane is going to be flying upside down, and nobody's going to notice that.
That
It's
would be
impossible.
a problem. And let me make one small correction on you there, Aron. When you were showing the artificial horizon indicator and it was showing the nose up above it, that's not the 3 degrees that he's necessarily talking about to keep the plane in the air. In fact, that's built in to the wings themselves. For a straight and level flight. When the artificial horizon shows straight and level, it means straight and level, and you should not be experiencing any climb or descent. So I just wanted to clear that up a little bit. It's not a big deal, but I just wanted to point that out because I know how the Globers are, and they'll come back and they say, oh, you retards, you were showing, you know, whatever. But anyway, so I just wanted to clear that up.
Perfect. No, perfect. In fact, a friend of mine recently traveled from Europa. You can see here clearly the sunrise, the sun rays, and like all this kind of stuff. But I have here a little video because, of course, the people has flight those days. They put it on the screen. You can, they're gonna show you a glove model, and all the planes have this GoPro put it down on the plane to see the supposedly curve. But when you look up to the window, of course, everything is flat. So here you can start to see this manipulation, because they know that all the people around the plane is talking about this. So they start to modify the books, the history books, the education, and also they start to put in this kind of equipment of the plane.
Right. And of course, if you really call them out on it, they would say, well, that's to give the passenger a greater view of the ground below it. And it's like, well, that's kind of ridiculous because they can look out the window. But that essentially would be their excuse, I would think. But yes, the pilot sees a flat and level horizon. The passengers do, unless they have some sort of stigmatism in their eyes or something. It's just the curvature is just not there. Not at ground level, not at 35,000 feet, not at 110,000 feet. It's not there. Period.
It's not there. That's right.